Skipping ain't easy, but it's necessary. I be getting weary, cause shit be getting scary. But sit back, relax, and don't you dare worry, cause I be hitting wrongs with a righteous fury. Yes, sir, see, I am the only one. My name is Josh Dunn, gonna have some fun telling the truths y'all can't handle. I might raise a scandal as I dismantle the fake, make them quake and make them shake. I make you bend, but never will I make you break. Just chill, yo, and don't be frightened. Open that closed mind, it's time to get enlightened. Welcome, folks, to Gimpin' Ain't Easy, cause it ain't, episode number 23. This week, as always, we're brought to you by Charlie's Club, where most shots cost $2.75 on Tuesdays, so even if you make some real bad decisions, you won't go broke making them. We're going to be down at Charlie's after this show, so lucky for you, I'm sober for now. We're also brought to you this week, as always, by Café Saint-Poil, where this week's feature book is still the Longman's Anthology of British Literature. It is some 3,000 pages long, and I have cracked the 1100s. It is the Romantic era, the Victorian era, and the 20th century. I have now gotten to old Queen Victoria, and, well, she's a scary woman. We're also brought to you this week by Hubba Bubba Bubblegum, where, as my grandfather used to say when I was a small child, "Please, Josh, stop playing with your gum. It looks like you're hauling your guts out." I guess I had great guts when I was a child. Well, folks, it's number 23. We're back here. It's been quite a little while, but about 3 months later, we're here. It's great to be back. I gotta be real, though. The vibes of the last little while have been getting me down. You see, everything seems so combative and heavy. I wonder if anybody else is feeling this, you know? I think in a lot of ways, the disease of poverty has worn me down. Need to preface this by saying that for someone in my position, I'm definitely one of the luckier ones. You know, friends and family help me a ton. Leftover dinners are my biggest subsidy, and now I have a very sweet girlfriend who helps me with cooking and shares her food sometimes. So again, for my position, I am very lucky. But that position, when not aided by a grant or another small lucky break, is $845 a month. Used to be $923, but then they cut the transportation allowance because they decided to give everyone bus passes. Well, I can't really use the bus thanks to a super dysfunctional urinary tract. And this is also the reason I can't really work a regular job. So now I'm forced to live cheaper than ever before. I can't use excessive bus because they are piss poor and an extremely unreliable service. I'm not sure how aware people are of like job placements and general focus around helping folks who are disabled like me professionally, how that sort of works. But typically, it's to do something extremely remedial, like weaving baskets or stocking shelves for minimum or less than that wage, where some program may pay the employer part of your wages, so they're encouraged to hire you. So let's think about that for a second. We're encouraged to do work that nobody would ever want to do, you know? So I think that's really sad. And heaven forfend if you should want to achieve something a tad more interesting, you know? And if you're an artist like me, well, then you're more derided than a panhandler. And I'm not saying panhandlers should be derided at all. Another problem that's come up recently when disability organizations ask me to do things for free, this is extremely common, by the way. I'm now getting retorts from the people who work at these organizations, and they say, "Oh yeah, as a person with a disability, I understand what you're saying." And I'm like, motherfucker, please, if you understood what I was going through, you would fucking pay me. You're making a living wage and I'm not, you know. Please find it in your heart to compensate my service. Case in point, I got a grant to do a film on disability and romance. It was just shy of 12K. Most of that grant went to paying other people, and old Josh made allowances to pay all the participants. $250 per person. Mm-mm. That's slightly more than one makes at a typical weekend middling yuck yucks. And man, I suffered big time in this fucking project, right? First of all, writing the grant was way too ridiculously complicated. Getting it meant a severe clawback in my benefits, and with all the stress, I had a psychotic breakdown. Yet, I still managed to fucking pay people. So, if you're making a living wage and you can't pay me, you can suck my dick. Or maybe, just maybe, you're not actually disabled and you have uh, no idea what I'm talking about. You haven't faced the discrimination and the poverty and the exploitation, so maybe you should stop making excuses and listen to what I'm saying. Look, I know there are a ton of people with invisible disabilities that are, hey, even more severe than mine, but you're not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about people like the guy I was in the panel with who said he was disabled too because he had a clubbed foot and couldn't wear Shakespearean breeches. Man, fuck off. That is not the same thing as moderate cerebral palsy. You have no idea what I go through. Look, when you talk about being disabled, you gotta have some sort of idea of the severity, the impact that it has on your daily life in comparison to others before you say I'm disabled too. So you get it, right? But look, you don't get it because you just can't. Anyway, on to better things. So I have a girlfriend now, and it's great. It's really great. She couldn't treat me any better. We have our hiccups and all that kind of stuff that goes with spending a ton of time together. But really, I couldn't be any luckier. But here's the other side of this. I spent a lifetime getting rejected by just about every woman I was attracted to, and hey, I know I'm not the only one, and I'm certainly not about to say that those women should have really given me a chance, because yeah, you can't force someone to date you or care for you. But man, like, that lifetime of rejection has left huge scars and fears. Like, hey, is my lady gonna leave me for a more able or wealthy man if the struggle wears her down too much? You can never know for sure, right? But I do think those scars and that lifetime of pain can be healed. It just can't happen overnight. It's going to take time. Probably a lot. While we're on the subject of dating, I'd like to talk about Squirmy and Grubs. Squirmy and Grubs are Hannah and Shane. I think Hannah is Squirmy because she moves around a lot, and Shane is Grubs because, well, he doesn't bathe or something. I don't know. They're an interabled couple where Hannah is like super able. I think she's like a competitive swimmer, and Shane is severely disabled, very small, in a chair with a disability where his muscles waste away. I think it's really cool they found each other. I discovered them while recovering from psychosis, and they gave me a lot of hope because I was like, man, if Shane can find someone, I should be able to too. And I did. Cool. They're also quite active. They go on a ton of outings and road trips and even bigger trips like Disney World and Poland, all within the same year. It's really great that they show severe disability is not a barrier to romance with an extremely attractive partner or an extremely active lifestyle. Hey, I'm happy for them. They get to do a ton of cool shit. But I got to admit, I'm kind of jealous. Man, I don't have the money to go gallivanting around the world like some fancy free Carmen Sandiego. No, fuck. I wish I did. Couple of things about their presentation I find to be a little disconcerting. One, most disabled folks simply don't have the funds to do like 1/10 of the stuff they do. So it's kind of an inaccurate representation from like a very small percentage of people who are quite financially comfortable, whether it's them or their parents, or I don't know if they have sponsors or what the deal, but it's just not the average disability experience. And two, it kind of functions as a boring travel vlog. You know, it's great you get to do all these things, but where's the critical analysis? Aside from just like, oops, there are no ramps, so Shane can't go here. What about some real talk about what it's like for the average disabled person who doesn't have the funds you do? Or what about some talk about some really pressing issues the world faces, like climate change or war? You know, it doesn't have to be this way all the time, but some real talk once in a while could go a long way. Squirmy and Grubs, you have the viewership, so you have the responsibility. Look these guys up on YouTube and see if you can see what I mean. I'd like to conclude with this kind of idea. Some years ago, Ralph Nader said that he reached the conclusion that it was only through the benevolence of the super rich that we could really affect positive change. I'm not sure about that, but the idea is that these cats are the policymakers, and if they were generous enough to severely reallocate their funds, you know, like maybe we could put an end to poverty. So, it's with this thought in mind, I'd like to ask you for money, those of you who can afford it. I'd like to make about $200 a show and give half to 1942 for all the trouble he takes to record it and get it up. You know, I love doing this show. It's extremely cathartic for me, and at this stage in my life, I much prefer it, this format, to the comedy stage. But hey, I'll still work for laughs, man. Fuck, book me. It's STYE in my eye at hotmail.com or on Facebook. I think people generally find this show informative and entertaining, so I'd like to make it more regular. I've got ideas for about 4 guests now coming up, and you know, like, your generosity can help make this happen. No donation is too small. To quote Louis Prima, "Oh, I'm just a gigolo. Everywhere I go, people see the part I'm playing." Well, folks, I'm going to gigolo my way on off here, but it's been real great to see you again. I know this was kind of maybe a heavier episode, but I'm looking to do interviews next time. I think we'll probably put a link to my Patreon that we've got up on once this episode comes up. Thank you for listening, and I hope you, if you don't agree, you'll at least consider some of the things I've had to say tonight. Like I tell you, as I always do, especially when you're getting low, look yourself in the mirror every time, and you tell yourself, "I am the greatest of all time," and you give yourself that Ric Flair, woo! Because I know I am. Good night, folks.